2, 1.
Wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. It's Friday, March 12th, and we'll convene the Continuing Legislative Committee on State Planning and Development, separate and apart from the regular Standing Committee of Planning and Development in the legislature. So there are many of us from that committee who serve and some other members, and it's wonderful to be here this morning. And to get started, we'll start with our agenda, which I know, just to be clear, was posted on the webpage of the committee, the Planning and Development Committee. There is a link under there that has that. I believe for some reason there may have been a glitch on the actual calendar itself. So I just want to be clear. And I don't know if actually, Camilla, would it be possible for you to do a screen share after we have remarks from the chairs to just give everyone a chance to see that agenda, anyone who might be watching from home, and we'll just make sure people know what's on the agenda, and then we'll go forward. So first we'll start. Item 1 is convene the meeting, and item 2 is remarks by chairs. And first I'll turn it over to Senator Cassano.
Yes, we will be officially convened, or we probably are now. This is an interesting part of the committee's role because we do this maybe once a year. I think this is a continuation from last year. I'm glad that we're at the move this. It's extremely important, and it probably needs more attention. So I'm glad that we're doing this today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Senator Cassano. Rep. Zullo and Senator Wong.
If I may quickly, I'm looking forward to working in this body to kind of move this process along. It is one of the areas of cognizance for this committee, and it's long overdue. So I'm very eager to work to get this moving forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Wong. Rep. Zullo.
I'll just add good morning, and in a year when planning and zoning and development initiatives are on the forefront of some of the most popular initiatives we're dealing with in the legislature, it's always great to be here and weighing in on that process in this forum. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rep. Zullo. And Mr. Clerk, if you are able to just screen share again so that those who are watching can see our agenda for just a moment. Is that wonderful? And this is great. So folks can see where on the committee's page you can find information related to the State Plan of Conservation and Development. And we'll just get there if you guys can just be patient for a moment. Great, thank you so much, Mr. Clerk. So you can see today the item, we have one item for discussion, which is the process for extending the 2018 to 23 POCD plan to 2024, which we will discuss. And then an action item, which is item 4, items for recommendation to the General Assembly, which is the 2018 to 2023 Plan of Conservation and Development, and then adjournment. So thank you, Mr. Clerk, for displaying that just so that everyone had a chance to see that. And again, for the future, this information resides on the committee page, the permanent committee, the standing committee of the legislature's Planning and Development Committee page. It's down at the bottom of that page. So with that, we will move on to item number 3, which is discussing the process for extending the 2018 to 23 Plan of Conservation and Development to 2024. So the process I was able to review with our attorneys and OPM, and I just want to thank OPM for their help with this. We put that item up first because before we actually vote to approve. As you may know, this plan has been submitted to the legislature for a number of years. And the continuing committee did advance it to the House in the 2018 legislative session, and it was not acted on by the General Assembly in 2019. The resolution was raised but not transmitted to the General Assembly. And in 2020, we had a meeting of this body, and shortly thereafter, we all went home and did not come back to the General Assembly. So here we are this year in the midst of this plan. And you may recall at our February meeting of this body, the OPM recommendation in the letter that they sent to us as a committee in December, which you all should have received again, was to extend the plan through to 2026. And I have had a few different conversations with folks, and in doing so, would be recommending to extend the plan just 1 year rather than resetting the whole time clock. The reason that it's on the agenda saying process for extending the plan, this continuing committee would not be the body that would have the statutory authority to make that extension. It would in fact need to be a bill, and we do have a title in the regular standing committee to allow us to do that. So that would be the mechanism. But it seemed prudent today for us to have a conversation to see what all of you think about that idea and recommendation, which of course you would again have a chance to weigh in through any bill process, because we would need to amend the statute to reflect this. So that's the background and a little bit of the reasoning, just a little bit, but I will open it up for discussion about one, the process, or two, the idea of rather than extending this plan for a full period of time, to just add 1 more year, which would then give us an opportunity to, and you're going to love this, meet together as a committee in the fall to talk a little bit more about our statutory process, about our process, and about some of the recommendations we heard actually from Patrice Gillespie at the February 16th meeting about how we might want to consider any statutory changes or process changes, and of course, work in conjunction with OPM. So with that, I will open it up to discussion. And if you could do me a favor and use, as we do in our regular meetings, use the raise hand function, that would be wonderful. Rep. Lamar.
Thank you, Chair McCarthy-Vahey. And I think the extension for 1 year makes sense, and I'm supportive of that, I believe. I do think we'd want to ask OPM to work in conjunction with this standing or continuing committee to at least begin the process that they otherwise would have begun in advance of a 2023 consideration, so that we can be more engaged and active. And even if we don't start the next plan until 2024, or midway through 2024, I think we'd want a recommendation before the General Assembly in 2023, so that if it took us a little while to discuss and develop and amend, we have that time. We don't run into the same process where we're amending our state plan of conservation and development at the same date that it's already should otherwise become active. So I think it's reasonable to consider extending for 1 year, but expect the same level of detail and development in the interim that we otherwise would have expected at this timeline. So that's it.
Thank you, Rep. Lamar. What I would add is, in conversation with OPM, and as I referenced a moment ago, it would be my intent to convene this committee in the fall for a series of meetings and conversations with OPM to address exactly those things, so that come 2023, we are not behind the 8 ball and we're not finding ourselves in this position again, so that we can be a little bit more proactive and ahead of things. I concur with that. Senator Wong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is a report out that's been kind of sitting there. Would that be correct?
The actual state plan of conservation and development, as I outlined at the beginning of the meeting, was first before the General Assembly. There was a joint resolution in 2018 that was not acted on by the General Assembly in 2019. We did not properly transmit it to the General Assembly, and in 2020, we began the steps, but the pandemic interrupted. So there is a plan that was submitted years ago, but that is not the plan that is currently in place. And certainly I did ask OPM to join us today, as you've noticed, to answer any questions specific. I don't know if that answers that for you.
You did. Thank you for that clarification. That is as I understood it as well. And this is an opportunity for me to ask Mr. Heft about OPM. Do you anticipate making any issue changes? Obviously, COVID changed a lot of the dynamics for the past year and a half. Can you share if there's any thoughts on the existing document that you are looking to make edits to reflect the marketplace? So I just was curious for us as a committee to be considerate of.
Mr. Heft?
Sure. Thank you, Senator, and good morning, everybody. So the plan that's, before you, there's no other changes to be made unless this committee decides that they wanted to make a change to the plan of the 2018 to 2023. Any future plan, changes outside of this would come apart with the next implementation strategy, reviewing the document, where we are at, because this document's already gone through its entire public hearing process and everything. So there's no changes that are being, requested of OPM side on this from what's been submitted. All of that would be in the next process, if you will.
So I appreciate that. Now, has it's gone through the process, the current document, for us not to make any changes to it, would it have to still go through the same legislative process? Or if we make some changes to it, we have to begin brand new? That's my thought from a process standpoint, and not to increase additional workload to this committee.
Right. So the plan itself has to be adopted by the legislature. And if I'm understanding your question correctly, if, this is the plan, it changes from the 2013 plan that was adopted to 2018, it changes. So those changes, that's what you're making your vote upon here, or your recommendation is to this plan here. Then moving forward, obviously it would go through public hearings, everything else for the next plan for 2024 forward for the next 5-year cycle would be a whole separate process, and we'll be through this whole same process again.
So indeed, if our working group saw fit to make some contributions and edits to currently reflect current challenges, it wouldn't increase the process. We would have to go through the same process anyway.
Correct. But that would be, kind of in the next cycle. It's all the same process, correct?
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Wong. I appreciate that line of questioning, and I would like to draw a distinction. And Mr. Heft, having been through this, I know also Mr. Morley is here with us also from OPM. And I see both two others, Eric and Matthew as well. And Bruce, I appreciate all of you being here and should have acknowledged the work that you've done for many years. There is the adoption of the full plan itself, which goes through an extensive statewide hearing process and gathers input from around the state. And certainly former P&D chairs who have been here longer than I can weigh in on this too. But there is in addition an ability to make interim changes to that. Again, I was just reviewing in preparation for this meeting and remembering that on that same place on the committee's webpage is an actual flow chart for how interim changes can be made to either the text of the document or to the locational maps as well. So I think, today the focus, and right now the focus has been on adopting the plan itself, because that's probably the first step before looking at what some others are. To Senator Wong, your point, I think, again, I'm going to reference Ms. Gillespie's testimony, which I would ask the clerk if we can make sure that that is also posted on the page under the February 16th meeting. I see a thumbs up to be sure that the public can access that as well. But those are some more substantial changes that were recommended that would actually require us to change the statute as well. So we have a dual process. One is our continuing committee, the need to adopt the plan through this joint resolution, which then goes directly to the General Assembly. And two is through the P&D committee, the statutory changes with how we go about creating the plan. But within that continuing committee, and again, Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, once we adopt the plan, which I am hoping we will do today, we then, as a committee, can make and go through a process of making interim changes to that plan once adopted. Mr. Heft, is that correct in the way that I'm stating this?
Yes, that is correct. There are provisions in state statute that allow you to make any, revisions while that plan is in for the 5-year cycle.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And that is something that, this committee could entertain, certainly. Again, what would be my hope would be to get this plan passed and in place, and then really take a look at our process for going forward so that we're ahead of the ball for the next round. Is there any further discussion on the process and both the process as well as the idea of the 1-year extension? Though we don't have a vote on this, I just wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to be heard on it. Mr. Majority Leader, Representative Rojas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add in, an endorsement too of looking at this for at least one more year and giving us the opportunity to reevaluate it and not have to start the process all over again. So I want to align my comments with those of Representative Lamar, and having navigated the current, I guess, POCD plan when I was chair of P&D. I know how challenging it can be, and it's one of those things that this committee is in addition to all the other responsibilities that all of us have. And I think sometimes most people don't really understand this process or what the plan does or how important the plan is for the state of Connecticut and in guiding other policy decisions that we make and placing it in the current context with all of the interests around housing and zoning. Right, there is a really important piece of the POCD that speaks to affordable housing and how it's a responsibility of communities across the state to actually do something about it. And I think we need to find ways to creatively and smartly and in an engaging way try to bridge the gap between the principles of the state POCD plan and the principles at the local level in terms of what towns develop in terms of their own plans, and trying to find the right kind of alignment that works in the best interest of the state of Connecticut, but also works in the best interest of all of our individual communities.
Thank you, Representative Rojas, and I really appreciate that. I know here in our community, the work has begun to redo our local plan of conservation and development, and I have had a number of conversations with them over the past couple of years in our planning and zoning department, looking to the guidance from the state, and because that's what's required for them to do. So it's important for us to make sure that we're on track at our level. Representative Goupil.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would absolutely concur with that one, only from a slight self-interest that I am new to the committee, and it will give me a better opportunity to engage in what has been drafted thus far, and also with the legislation currently moving forward, the testimony, just evaluating everything we sort of have on the plate right now, being in a pandemic. I think it'll certainly give us more opportunity to have better conversations once we get further down the road. I think it's also important to look at the affordable housing surveys that are going to be coming out of the municipalities and evaluating that information along with the census data as well. So I look forward to some very robust conversations further down.
Thank you, Representative Goupil. As I was thinking about the 1-year extension, I was thinking about some of the other things that are happening, not just in planning and development, but in so many other committees where things are being extended by a year simply because of COVID as well. So it does seem to make sense. And what I'm hearing is a general agreement among members. I'll give everyone one last chance to comment, and then we'll move on to our next agenda item. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will go to item number 4, which is items for recommendation to the General Assembly, which is the 2018 to 2023 Plan of Conservation and Development. Again, the documentation is posted on the CGA website under the Planning and Development Committee's page for all who would like to review. And again, this would be for recommendation to the General Assembly. This committee would recommend, and there would be a joint resolution that would be before the General Assembly. And I believe that I do need a motion. Mr. Tellerico, that's correct.
Yes, a recommendation, a motion to recommend approval, disapproval, whatever that motion may be.
Wonderful. So I will take a motion to recommend approval of the 2018 to 23 Plan of Conservation and Development.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Senator Cassano and seconded by Representative Lamar. Is there discussion on the item? I see your actual hand raised, Mr. Majority Leader. Go ahead.
No, I was struggling to find the raise hand button there. And I just wanted to clarify that the motion is 1-year extension.
Thank you for
Correct, or no,
clarifying.
we're approving a full plan.
No, this is not a motion for a 1-year extension, and I appreciate the clarifying question. The motion that, and the ability that we have as a continuing committee is to approve the plan that is the 2018 to 23 plan. So there would be 2 steps that would then be taken in the General Assembly. One would be the joint resolution that would go directly to the House or the Senate. And I'm not sure exactly who that would go to first. And that would be the approval of the plan if the General Assembly acts on it. The second separate action, which is the extension, is through a bill that will be heard likely March 22nd in the Planning and Development Committee, because it's a statutory change. This committee does not have cognizance over that.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying. Is there further discussion on the state plan before us? Seeing none, I will just add that it's amazing how much the world has changed since 2018 and the process that we went through. And certainly many things have stayed the same, but COVID has highlighted a number of things for us. And I do, again, I know I've referenced Ms. Gillespie a few times in her testimony that she shared with us in February and actually last year when she testified before the committee. There are some things that we probably are going to need to be considering as a continuing committee for how we look at our state plan of conservation and development. Some of those being green energy issues and others. So I do look forward to furthering those conversations in the future. But at this point, I'm glad for the opportunity. Hopefully we can get this across the finish line, Mr. Heft. And if there is no further discussion on this item, I believe we can take a voice vote on the item. If you all, is that correct, Mr. Tellerico?
So actually, I would recommend, even though it's not a bill, I would recommend that because this is a final action to make the recommendation of approval, I would suggest.
No problem. I think we're all happy to do so and quite used to that process. So with that, Mr. Clerk, I will turn it to you to call the roll.
It's not going to be in perfect alphabetical order. Just giving you a heads up. Just wanted to let you know. So this is a roll call for an approval of the 2018 through 2023 Plan of Conservation and Development from the Continuing Legislative State Committee on Planning and Development. Senator Cassano?
Senator Cassano votes yes.
Awesome. Representative McCarthy-Vahey?
Representative McCarthy-Vahey votes yes.
Awesome. Senator Needleman. Senator Needleman and Senator Needleman. Cool. Representative Goupil.
Representative Goupil votes yes.
Awesome. Senator Huang.
Senator Tony Huang votes yes.
Got it. Representative Zullo.
Rep. Zullo votes yes.
Awesome. Senator McCrory.
Senator McCrory votes yes.
Awesome. Representative Rojas.
Representative Rojas votes yes.
Perfect. Representative Lamar.
Representative Lamar votes yes.
Perfect. And Senator Austin. Senator Austin. Senator Austin. All right. Madam Chair, that concludes the roll call for everyone that's here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. And we will keep the votes open until 11:30 today so that the other members may have an opportunity to cast their votes. And with that, I just want to say thank you all very much for gathering and for being here. And I look forward to this committee gathering again, probably in sequence a number of times in the fall. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you all.
thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Senator Casano. And I'll be giving you a call later today when we're not live on YouTube. Mr. Clerk, I want to thank you for, oops, here we go. I want to thank you for remaining on, and I will reach out to those members who are unable to be here this
No
morning.
problem. I know Senator Needleman's in a town hall right now. And then I can talk to Senator Austin.
Wonderful.
And we have 90 registrants right now, just so you know.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I will be in touch with you also later today. I appreciate it. Thanks for your help this morning.
I'm gonna also post Ms. Gillespie's testimony
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
on the webpage, right?
Yes, please.
Got it. Consider it done.
Thank you.
Of course. I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
So long, guys.
All right. Well, that was a quick one. That was good. That was very, very good. Oh, I'm waiting. There it is. Hi, Senator Needleman, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good,
Am I on
good.
Is the video's working, right, Camilo?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
good. Okay, I vote yes. Senator Needleman votes yes.
Perfect. Gotcha.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Brooke. Really appreciate it. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm gonna see if you can hear me. Thank you. You just voted. He just voted. You're good, Brooke. Brooke. Yeah. Hello. Oh,
Hi,
Camille.
Camillo. How
How
are
you
you?
doing? Good. How are yourself?
Good. Figured I'd give you a quick call. I'm voting in the affirmative.
Got it. Gotcha. Great. Awesome. You're not in
Okay.
public health, right?
Say it again.
You're not in public health, right? You're not. You didn't have that
No.
crazy meeting today. Okay, cool.
I was on 4 other meetings, but yeah, no, I'm not on that one.
All right. Well, I wish you. I wish that you can get some rest. You know, take it.
Well, I'm going back to another meeting now.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right.
Well, I hope you get some rest soon.
All right.
You know.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Have a great one.
Bye.
All right. Well, that then concludes the meeting.